everybody. Oh, nice to see you again today. And we're still in Penguin Week. It's been my favourite week of the year so far. Now today's story is a little bit of a cross between a story and an information book. So it's fiction and non-fiction, and it's called The Emperor's Egg. Do we recognise what this little animal is doing? He's a little chick, isn't he? He's hatched out of his egg and he's keeping warm underneath his daddy's fur. Let's have a look what it tells us in the story today. Down at the very bottom of the world, there's a huge island that's almost completely covered in snow and ice. It's called Antarctica, and it's the coldest, windiest place on Earth. As the globe, this is where Antarctica is, right at the very bottom of the world. The weather's bad enough there in summer, but in winter it's really horrible. It's hard to imagine anything actually living there. Can anybody guess what might live there? I'm giving you a little bit of a clue. Can you see him? But wait, what's that shape over there? It can't be. Yes! It's a penguin. Were you right? It's not just any old penguin either. It's a male emperor penguin, so it's one of the daddies. He's the biggest penguin in the world, and he's doing a very important job. I wonder who can tell me what very important job he's doing. Think about the picture that we saw on the front cover. What important job do you think he's doing? He's looking after his egg. He didn't lay it himself, of course. Mummy Penguin did that. The Mummy Penguin did that a few weeks ago, but very soon afterwards, she turned around and waddled off back to the sea. That's where the female emperor penguins spend most of the winter, swimming about, getting as fat as they can, eating as much as they can, and generally having a very nice time, as far as you can tell. Because of course we can't ask them, can we? Unless you were Dr. Dolittle, and then you could probably talk to them as well. So the daddy stays on the ice, looking after the egg, keeping it warm, while Mummy goes off, eats lots and lots of fish, ready to come back when the egg will have hatched to give it lots of food. Which leaves the father penguin stuck on the ice with his egg. Now, the most important thing about egg sitting is stopping your egg from getting cold. That means it has to be kept off the ice and out of the wind. And what better way to do that than to rest it on your feet and to tuck it right up under your tummy. So that's what the daddy penguin does. He keeps it off the ice by putting it on top of his feet, and he keeps it warm by putting it under his tummy, where it's nice and warm with lots of feathers and lots of his skin, of his fat, to keep it warm. And that's how he'll stay for 2 whole months until his egg is ready to hatch. Goodness me, that's a long time, isn't it? Can you imagine it, standing around in the freezing cold with an egg on your feet for 2 whole months? Goodness me. Can't imagine doing that myself. What's more, there's nothing for the father penguin to eat on the land. So that means 2 whole months with an egg on your feet and no supper. I don't know about you, and because he's egg sitting, he can't go off to the sea to feed. So no breakfast, no lunch or tea for 2 whole months. I don't know about you, but I'd be very, very miserable. Oh, poor Daddy Penguin. He's not on his own though. He's got all the other Daddy Penguins there with him. Luckily, the penguins don't seem to mind too much. They've got thick feathers and lots of fat under their skin to help them keep warm. And when it gets really cold and windy, they all snuggle up together and shuffle over the ice in a great big huddle. Most of the time, the huddle trundles along very, very slowly. But sometimes, when the penguins get to a particularly slippery slope, oh, what do you think happens? Whee! They slide down it on their tummies, pushing themselves along with their flippers, always remembering to take care of their egg and trying not to bump into each other. And that's how the father penguin spends the winter, until one day he hears chip, 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 chip. What's that noise? Let's see. It's his egg starting to hatch. It takes a day or so, but finally the egg cracks right open and out pops a penguin chick. Ah, just like my little penguin chick. There he is. Now the father penguin has 2 jobs to do. He has to keep the chick warm and he has to feed it. Oh my goodness. What's he going to feed it? He hasn't had any food for 2 whole months. Let's see how clever the father penguin is. The chick is too small to be taken off to sea to catch its food itself, and it can't be left behind on the ice so that Daddy can go to the sea. So deep down in the father penguin's throat, there's a pouch where he makes some rather special milk. And that's what he feeds his hungry chick on. That's so clever, isn't it? The father penguin can only make enough milk to feed his chick for a couple of weeks. But just as he's about to run out, a dot appears on the horizon. Who do you think it might be? It gets closer and closer. And yes, it's Mum! Mummy Penguin has come back. She starts trumpeting, hello! And the father penguin starts trumpeting, hello! And the chick starts whistling. The racket goes on for hours, and it literally does sound as if they're incredibly pleased to see each other. Gosh, I think if I was the daddy penguin, I'd be very pleased to see Mummy. Hand over his job. As soon as things have calmed down, the mother penguin is sick. Oh, right into her chick's mouth. Oh, yuck! Now you may think yuck, but the chick thinks yum yum. Oh, doesn't sound great, does it? And the penguin chick gobbles down the lot. It's the mother's turn to look after the chick now, while the father sets off to the sea for a very well-earned meal of his own. It's about time too. And that's the story of how a penguin chick is born. And he'll continue getting bigger and bigger. The daddy will come back, and then it's mummy's turn to go, so they never leave the chick on its own. They've got to keep it warm. It can't stay warm itself. It hasn't got enough thick feathers just yet. I think penguins are very clever. There we go. So join me in a couple of seconds to do our writing activity for today.